What's good, everybody? It's your boy Ed0626, bringing you back some more WWE 2K16 gameplay. For the record, this is not an EPCW episode. I figured I would do something a little different today. I'm playing online with my buddy Anthony, and I needed to have a match. I didn't want to do like regular play mode or something. I wanted me and my buddy Anthony to go against each other and stuff in online Extreme Rules match. So I figured it was like, what the hell, let's just try it out. It ended up pretty well. The thing is that he thought he can beat me with Enzo Amore, and then he decided not to use Enzo, so he ends up being Tyler Breeze because he still thinks he can beat me with Tyler Breeze. And I said, fuck no, Matt Awesome is definitely better than Tyler Breeze. And so we had this match, and it went pretty well. I enjoyed it anyway. It was pretty nuts. So, hope you guys enjoy that in the background. There's no sound to it because I was recording it live and our voices were in it, and I needed this to be a regular commentary, so having background with our voices, having background sound with the gameplay is with my voice just commentating doesn't really sound right. So I'm just gonna leave it the way it is right now. I'm just gonna shut down the voice volume. Anyway, I wanted to make this video for a specific reason, and there's a reason why Anthony is in this video, my buddy Anthony. A couple nights ago, actually it was Thursday, me and him were talking on the phone, right? And we were talking about TNA and how Mike Bennett, I love Mike Bennett, by the way. Mike Bennett's work is amazing in TNA. We were talking about how he got the X Division Championship because Destination X, I believe, is around the corner. I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks away from on TNA. So I'm pretty sure it's like 2 or 3 weeks away. So Destination X is coming, and the whole thing with Option C. Now, if you don't know what Option C is, it was implemented by Austin Aries, and in a couple of years ago when he was in TNA, he had this thing where if you were the X Division champion, you can cash it in for a world title match come Destination X every year. And they've been doing it every year. It's been successful in some cases, and then in some other cases it hasn't been. I think the last 2 years it hasn't been as successful. I think it's the last year or two. I can't remember off the top of my head really, but and then it sparked it sparked an idea in my head that I don't think anybody on YouTube has said yet. And if somebody has said it, it is not me stealing your idea, because hell, I have no idea if anybody has said it myself. But this is a creative idea I had for WWE for Austin Aries, since Austin Aries is in NXT. I have it all written out here. I'm not going to read it word for word, but it's basically a note on my phone that I'm going to read to you guys. So, what if the idea of Option C can be used in WWE? Some of you guys may think I'm fucking nuts right now. But hear me out. Hear me out. Option C can be used, I think, if Austin Aries becomes NXT champion. This is how I see it. If Austin Aries happens to ever become NXT champion in WWE, well, they have the NXT brand. So if he becomes NXT champion in NXT, I can see this going this way. Possibly. This could possibly happen. So he can hold the belt for about a few months. Hold the belt for a month or two. Maybe even defend it if there's a takeover event and he retains at the takeover. And then and then a few months later, you have him sporadically appear in WWE on Monday Night Raw or something. It has to be Monday Night Raw because it has to have the live crowd and all that stuff. So, excuse me. So have him on Monday Night Raw and have him interrupt the champion at that time. Like, have the champion cut a promo. He could be in. It's debatable whether or not he should, if he's like just there to cut a random promo or whatever, and just have Austin Aries come out. Maybe for the people that know him, the crowd can go nuts. it would be great. It would be a great moment on Monday Night Raw. And have him come out with the NXT Championship. Now, you don't just have to do this. If WWE, knowing them, they don't have to have it be the World Champion. They could probably even have it for like the Intercontinental Championship or a mid-card title like that. I think the Intercontinental Championship is the second biggest championship in the company. I think it would work relatively well. And I don't see it happening with the U.S. title. I think the U.S. title's worthless. I think it's a pointless title to have what I'm about to say on. So what's going to happen is this. He comes out, whoever it is, Intercontinental or World Champion at the time. He cuts a promo and stuff. He cuts a promo how he's the NXT Champion. He's the greatest man that's ever lived. Yada, yada, yada. Mention how he implemented something called Option C. Now, only people who watch TNA, and I know there are probably very few of us now, only people that watch TNA are going to know what Option C is. So he's going to have to explain what Option C is. He doesn't have to specifically say like the TNA stuff, like what the name of the TNA title was, like how he took he could say how he took a smaller title and made it big by implementing Option C, and by using Option C, you could cash that in for an opportunity at the World Champion and the World Championship of the company, or the major championship. And then he could say that he's going to do that with the NXT title. And then have him cash in on the main event of that same Raw against the World Champion. And, whether or not he wins or loses that match is dependent on what the bookers or whatever people think. If this ever is used. If this idea is ever used, it would be up to the bookers to decide whether he wins or loses the match. Because I only thought of this last night. I'm recording this on Friday. I only recorded this last night, which was Thursday when I was I only thought of this last night when I was talking to my buddy Anthony, which was Thursday. And I didn't think of it all through yet, but this is the whole major idea of it. So he cashes in Option C with the NXT title, leaving the NXT title vacant. Now, what would you do with the NXT title, one might think? Well, this is an obvious question. NXT, with the whole thing with the Cruiserweight Classic going on right now, they can do like some sort of tournament. Take the 4 or 8 best guys in NXT, and on regular NXT TV, have a couple matches of them, in the tournament of going up against each other, and then once the semifinals are set, have the semifinals take place at the next TakeOver event. And then at the same TakeOver, the main event would be whoever wins that tournament. Like whoever wins the tournament, that'll be the finals, and that'll be the main event of the show. And then whoever wins is the new NXT champion. So not only do you have a new champion set up for NXT, if Austin Aries ever becomes champion and he moves up to the main roster. Now, there's a lot of moving pieces to this, I know. Before I even continue, there's a lot of, moving pieces to this. One, Austin Aries has to be NXT champion. 2, WWE would just have to have a faith in him to come on the show with the title, like they did with Kevin Owens a couple of years ago. So I think this is a good idea, personally for me. There's a lot of moving parts to it, and there's not a lot of set ideas in. Like I said, it's debatable on whether or not he wins. He could win, and it could be a great moment. He could win, and it could be an awesome moment. Really, it could be. Like, give the fans something to really go crazy about. Have an Austin Aries who's well known in wrestling, but maybe not well known by WWE fans because they're idiots. Casual fans anywhere are idiots. But have the hardcore fans, like, if you're going to cater anything to the hardcore audience and not the casual audience, this is what I say. Just let it be this. This alone will cater to the hardcore-esque audience of wrestling. I think this is not a bad idea. I really don't. So, to sum it all up, have him, Austin Aries wins the title, a few months later, comes on Monday Night Raw, implements Option C, all this type of stuff, and then whether or not he wins or loses, debatable. Whatever, WWE can book that however they want. But I think he should go down winning, but they'll probably have him lose if this is ever used anyway. I just think, and then like have the whole tournament to determine the next NXT champion. So it's basically the same type of thing in a way with what he did with the X Division title. You know, he took a title that he took a minor-esque title and, you know, elevated it with this whole mystique, I guess you can say, of the Option C creation. And like I said, there's a lot of moving parts to it. But I will say this. It's a free idea. I just gave you a free creative idea for Austin Aries moving up to the main roster. I don't know why. All it took was Mike Bennett to win the NXT Championship this past night on Impact on last Tuesday, and the whole talk with Option C and the X Division and stuff. All it took was that for me to think about it like that. And I'm like, wow, that's not a bad idea. So I had told my buddy, I said, I need to talk about this ASAP. Now, like I said, I don't know who's talked about it at all, but as far as I'm concerned, I may be the only person that's maybe have said anything about it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I know, like I said, I know it's kind of crazy. It is crazy. I know it is. I know it may not ever happen. So take everything I've said in this video with a grain of salt. I think if WWE played their cards right, and when they move Austin Aries to the main roster, I think this is the route they should go. At least of course I think that. I created the idea. Why not? Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.